Hi, I'm Peter Singer, and it's a pleasure to talk to you at your conference of the National Movement for the Defense of Animals in Ecuador. I'm pleased that you're having this meeting and that you're working for animals, because animals everywhere are mistreated by humans and deserve much better treatment, and I think that we should all be working for that as much as we possibly can. We are making progress in various ways in this struggle, and I know that in Ecuador recently your constitutional court recognized animals as sentient beings. That's an important step forward, but it will take work to make it practical, to make it have real applications for animals so that animals are no longer suffering unnecessarily. The principle that I set out in Animal Liberation to govern our relations with animals is that we should give equal consideration to the similar interests of all beings, irrespective of their race, sex, or species. And just as we reject racism and sexism, that is, discriminating against or discounting the interests of human beings because they are not members of our race or not members of our sex, so we should also reject speciesism, the idea that if a being is not a member of our species, then the interests of that being don't count, or they are heavily discounted as compared with human interests. I think that pain is pain, whoever the being experiencing pain is, whether that person is of one race or another, of one sex or the other, or of one species or another, as long as we're talking about a species of which we can say with some confidence that the members of that species are sentient beings. And I'm confident that that applies to all vertebrate animals, and no doubt it applies to some invertebrates as well. The octopus, for example, is an invertebrate, and I don't think you can explain the behavior of an octopus without assuming that the octopus is also a sentient being. But when we come to animals like oysters, we may have a certain element of doubt, and we may think that they probably cannot feel pain. I'm agnostic about whether they can or not. I'd like to give them the benefit of the doubt, but I am therefore more concerned with animals where there is good evidence of the capacity to feel pain, good evidence that they are sentient beings. And with those animals, particularly the birds and mammals, we are causing them to suffer on a huge scale. And I should add, of course, fish as well as birds and mammals. So factory farming of pigs, chickens, cows, and also aquaculture with fish is causing tens of billions of animals to suffer each year. In fact, if you add them all up, it's probably, including the fish, something like 150 billion, maybe even more. So I think we should be working against that. We should also be working against other unnecessary suffering we inflict on animals. For example, in laboratories where we test substances that we do not really need, that are not life-saving for us, in very painful ways on animals. So keep up the struggle. It's going to be a long one still, but we are making progress, and the more people who are working for animals all over the world, the sooner we will reduce and eventually end their suffering. I wish you all the best for your meeting.